I'm assuming there's nobody else we're expecting that is absent from their table at the moment. Okay, now I just want to, before we start the formal meeting, I suspect many of you are aware that there was a very sad incident in West Wales last week, in which a firefighter died during a training incident, a member of the BIP in West Wales Fire and Rescue Service. As I'm sure you're aware, our chief was in on the staff of it as well before he came to us. So, Chief?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Unfortunately, firefighter Josh Gardner went to work last Tuesday and didn't go home. Which is a very sad event, of course. The Chairman and I have offered our support to Middle West Wales, and of course our thoughts and prayers go to Josh and his family, and certainly his friends and colleagues within Middle West Wales. The funeral is on the 1st of October, and I will represent the authority in the service at that funeral. I think it's appropriate, members, that we have a minute's silence. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. We now commence the meeting made in fire authority. For those of you who are new, this is being filmed for later viewing on YouTube. We'll start with the apologies for absence.
Chair, apologies for absence to be received from Councillor Ash, Davis, Logan, Jacobs, Monk, Phipps, Sheehan and Winters.
Are there any others? Okay, thank you. Emergency evacuation, Simon?
Yes, members, we're not expecting a test of a fire alarm, so if there is a fire alarm, it will be a real event. You can see behind me, the entrance that you came is a fire escape, and we connected the building through there. And likewise to the top of the room, to the left, to the left of the projector screen, there's a fire escape as well.
Are there any declarations of interest?
Yeah, can I declare an interest in item 8?
Okay. Thank you. Now we move on to the minutes of the annual meeting, which are item 4 in your papers. Are you happy for me to sign those as a correct record of the meeting? May I have a proposal? Seconded? Thank you very much. All in favour of those? Thank you very much. We now go to chair business. First of all, apologies for my absence both today and at the previous training days. So you may know I've got rather pressing business in North Somerset as well as the fire authority, and I'm trying to balance a rather busy diary, shall we say. So my apologies for not joining you. I would like to record my thanks to members and particularly officers who were at the, and that's all our, when I say officers, I mean all our staff, who were at the emergency service over there on the 15th of September. I thought it was a brilliant show. I thought we got a really, really great display of the fire and rescue service. And I think members of the public who were there, attending and viewing our equipment and speaking to our staff, I thought was a really, really great advert for the service, and it was very difficult work getting done and setting it up, you'll give them the time to do it, but it's really worthwhile. I'd like to thank you all on behalf of the authority, so thank you. We move on now to item number 6, which is public access. We have one request to speak, which is Mr. Hanson from Bath.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. I'm speaking on behalf of Woodland Grove Community Group in Bath. Concerns have been raised regarding a waste management site a mere 37 metres from the nearest residential homes. Although the lawful planning permission has been granted for the development, the whole planning process has revealed extensive loopholes in the law and regulations, which are designed to protect the public and ensure clear oversight on the design and build and safe management of such facilities going forward. This waste development site handles more than 1,000 tonnes of recyclable waste per year. It is handling the waste from a population of around 24,000 people per week, the equivalent size of Cambridgeshire. If it has been possible to obtain lawful planning permission for this development, then any other similar proposals across the United Kingdom could or may have already been built. It is not a consideration within council planning committee meetings for deciding matters related to fire. Planning agents working on behalf of companies or businesses planning a development understand the minimum legal requirements at each stage of the planning process. Building control is now being undertaken by private external companies. These companies have only to consider aspects of any proposal that legal statutes compel. The Environment Agency has in place a very high level of licensing requirements prior to granting a licence to operate a waste management site. However, it's been discovered that if the landowner owns and operates a waste facility for their own use, then the landowner has no need to even apply for a licence or a licence exemption. I've come today to raise awareness of this loophole. I've met with our MP, Vera Hobhouse, outlined some issues, and she has kindly agreed to support my letter to the Director of the Environment Agency. The National Fire Chiefs Council supplied helpful information during the planning stage, nearly 2 years ago. I have contacted them. My hope is to bring together local and national bodies to review the current standards and possibly work to make changes as appropriate. I would hope that following this meeting, a smaller meeting might be arranged to review in greater detail aspects raised today. Similarly, with the Environment Agency. It appears to me that when the Bristol fire inquiry concludes, there is likely to be much national interest in fire-related matters. Design, planning and licensing are all likely to be reviewed. This would create an opportunity to use the information gained from this waste area development to possibly create change for the benefit of many. Thank you.
We can make some brief comments in relation to your statement.
Thank you.
Officer Diddington's going to give us a brief update.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Hanson, for bringing that up. All we would like to say is that we've tried to support Mr. Hanson as much as possible. We have gone to the site, we've sent a technical fire safety officer to liaise with the site, and we're happy to support Mr. Hanson going forward within the parameters of our legislation. What we have done is we've aligned as an authority with the reducing fire risk in waste management sites, which Mr. Hanson is referred to in some of his correspondence. And as an authority, we align to the NFCC statement on waste sites, but at the moment that is just guidance. And we're happy to support Mr. Hanson going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, before we get into the substantive part of the meeting, I'm going to hand over to the Chief Fire Officer who can lead on some Chief Fire Officer commendations.
Thank you, Chairman. Mate Joe Shields is going to read some citations to describe the incident. There are a number of citations and a number of people that have come forward, and we'll give that anything to do. Share that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chief. Members, I'll just give an overview of the incident. I'll then read out the citation, and then I'll read out the elements of the incident that staff are being recognised for, and then call out their names to receive their commendation from the Chief Fire Officer. So on the early evening of the 3rd of May, Avon Fire and Rescue Service attended a severe fire at Strawn and Henshaw building at Deep Pit Road in Speedwell. From the initial attendance to the stop message, 10 fire appliances and 4 aerial appliances were in attendance at any one time. One of these aerials was deployed from Gloucestershire on a mutual aid agreement. Approximately 240 firefighters and 14 officers were involved throughout this entire period. A further 70 firefighters attended the scene following the stop message. There were multiple hazards confirmed in the building, exacerbated because of the multiple types of occupancy within that building. These hazards included asbestos and various types of gas cylinders, including acetylene. Signs of collapse developed over the course of the incident, with the structure becoming unsafe for internal firefighting. For these reasons, it was an early key decision to withdraw firefighters to defensive positions and deploy aerial platforms for water application. In addition to this, an evacuation cordon of 200 metres was instigated in the local area via the police service for the local residents. And now read out the citations. At 18:22 hours on the 3rd of May 2019, a severe fire was reported in the Strawn and Henshaw building on Deep Pit Road, Speedwell. The first responding crews were confronted with a developing fire that was smoke logging the whole of this large building complex. Shortly after arrival, the fire spread to the whole of the building, resulting in numerous explosions and severe conflagration. The professionalism and bravery shown in this incident was exemplary, with crews working in areas of risk to stop the fire from spreading to neighbouring disabled properties and to tactically firefighting and evacuating residents. In upholding the true professional bravery of firefighting, the following personnel and corporate staff, crews and control members deserve recognition of their actions and to be awarded the Chief Officer's commendation. For undertaking the initial incident command role and critical decision making at the time to stop further spread of fire and limit risk to firefighters at the scene, I'd ask Crew Manager Andy Baker to step forward and receive his commendation. For leading the service control room function and service availability throughout this night shift and managing the risk critical nature of the early course of this incident and providing risk reduction advice to members of the public and responding crews, I'd like to invite the Watch Manager Sarah Cooper to step up and receive a award. Undertaking the first elected officer incident command role and maintaining the highest standards of safety for firefighters on the incident ground, I'd like to invite Station Manager Martin Bolt to step up and receive his award, please. For undertaking a key role in the provision of safety on the incident ground and managing a very dynamic sector, protecting neighbouring businesses and housing, whilst maintaining the safety of firefighters and the public. I'd like to ask Station Manager Carl Benz to step up to receive the award, please. For showing true professionalism and foresight in the command of the command unit and Indeed, the work of this unit under severe pressure during this incident, supporting the incident commanders in an exemplary manner. I'd like to ask Watch Manager Richard Arse to step up and receive his award.
Sorry, members, I do have one more. Without wishing to embarrass him, I'm going to anyway. A conversation that I had with ACO Children. Two assistant chief fire officers did an outstanding job that night too, in commanding the incident. That was Assistant Chief Officer Rob Davis, who's not here today unfortunately, but also Simon, who took over from Rob halfway through that night. And for undertaking overall command of the incident under severe pressure from a rapidly developing major incident, remained calm and professional, providing risk-critical decision-making during that process to limit the harm to the environment and to people, limiting damage to property. Simon. And that's a lesson of appreciation.
Okay. So we go on to minutes of meetings. First is the AGC order meeting on the 31st of May. Members happy to sign those for the correct record? Thank you. And then the minutes of the PRSC committee on the 4th of September. On those, there were the chair of that committee, who, Anthony Davis, was absent, was going to move the recommendation of minute 8. Are you happy for me to move that recommendation, or was that the meeting? Are we happy to accept those recommendations of the action plan? Yes, thank you very much. Now we move on to item number 8, which is urgent action on standing order 5.1. There are two parts to this now. It's a note to the clerk that the request of the Chief Fire Officer and in consultation with the Chief Fire Authority is extended the temporary appointment of the interim treasurer until the 30th of September. And there's a follow-up to that, which is further extended to the 31st of December. For that same interim role, the same person, which is Martin Keith. So are we happy with that?
Yeah.
Oh. David Daycock.
He's official.
He's the Deputy Market Officer. Do you want to do that statement on recruitment?
Yes, I can do. The employment committee met a couple of weeks ago, and a week or so ago, we're in the process of recruiting a new permanent clerk of insurance to the authority, and appointing a permanent treasurer to the authority. So adverts will go out in the next week.
So is it correct, Chair,
So he's the acting clerk, effectively. For tonight, I'm here to assist as the Director of Command Authority, so we, the unitary authorities, are assisting our authority on those counties. But yes, he's the acting clerk.
No, but should have to reflect
Nothing with that.
So we know we're going to be all happy with that? Item number 9, which is the new constitution.
Good evening, members. Members may recall that during 2018, a member working group was established to review the Avon Fire Authority constitution. This was discussed at a number of Avon Fire Authority meetings, and a suggestion was put forward for that discussion to go forward to post a new fire authority that was established in April, May of this year. On the 12th of July, a further members' development session and working group was set up, and that was facilitated by the Local Government Association and by Councillor Nick Chard, where members attending that day went through all of the proposed changes from the previous working group and any additional amendments that members wish to see. Being passed around today is a copy of a draft copy of the new constitution, and not including all of the changes, because members would have been cited on the majority of the changes, but the additional elements that members asked for from the workshop was the inclusion of an equality statement, and that's included within the draft constitution. A proposal for reduction in the number of committees from 5 to 3 to include performance review and scrutiny committee, a people and culture committee, an audit, governance and ethics committee, as well as the continuation of the local pension board. And lastly, the inclusion of the service mission, vision and values within that constitution. We've also included page numbers and an index, so it's easier to find elements of the constitution, and a refresh of the branding within the constitution as well. So subject to members' approval of the draft constitution that they have in front of you now, and the changes that was agreed at the previous workshop, we'd like to move forward with producing the final copy.
Okay, thank you, Simon. Thank you all colleagues that were at the workshop and have helped over the last several years to produce this document. I think we are very much out of kilter with not having a full constitution for the members and the public to read and understand how we work, what we're trying to achieve. This, I would say that this is our document, it's the Fire Authority, and it is within our power to make changes to it as we see fit. So I very much hope we'll approve this document tonight. I would also ask that we keep it under review, and as things change in the way we operate and the environment around us changes, we look to make the necessary changes to the constitution document to reflect that. So this isn't set in stone for the next 4 years. This is the document we have here, and I'd very much like it to become an ongoing piece of our work every year. We check, we don't make any further amendments to it. So, Neil.
Thanks, Chair. Good stuff. I'm different surface.
This is the document that we saw on the 12th of July, just made into a more, shall I say, acceptable branded document as opposed to a collection of papers. It's much the same document you and I have worked on for the last 2 years prior to that.
I understand that, but nevertheless.
Well, when was the document?
It's been in production since the 12th since the workshop chair, with the additional amendments highlighted in the report that amendment asked for at that time.
You have a bit of a habit of constantly doing that for the last year and a half, haven't we?
Nonetheless,
Well, it's the same document we saw on the 12th of July and we amended therein. So it isn't a new document, it's a more corporate version of the same thing. What other members think? I think most people here were at that workshop.
I wasn't.
What do we think? Well, the answer to that question, obviously, no, we don't need to do it, but we've been putting it off doing it and using reasons not to do it, very much like another political matter in the world, I suppose, for what does seem like about 2 years. I can't answer that question, other than a health and safety issue for the post.
Chair, can I suggest that as it appears some members have actually seen this before, whereas most of us have, that we allow a few days and give them this got any comments about anything they make sure they write back with suggestions. Otherwise, accepting as a resource.
Are you happy with that?
Those are new law.
Okay. So we happy to accept that amendment, we'll approve the document. So do any comments have been sent to the chair, the authority by the 14th of October? That gives people 3 weeks.
If it was substantial in any way, then we'll bring it back to the next meeting. Otherwise, if there is an initiative, it's part of the administrative power anyway, for any small changes. If it's substantive, then it will come back.
And we will report all comments that are made by members to the next meeting anyway, as part of the minutes. Is that okay? Okay, so we happy to accept this without you, Trevor, I'm moving that.
Yeah.
Brenda, will you second it? Okay, we all in favour of that? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. Thank you, colleagues. We move now on to forward plan, which is,
So in front of you members, you've also been handed a forward plan. Members, the previous authority will recall that last year we had a forward plan which highlighted key dates within the calendar year to give you the sufficient notification of when meetings and committees and full firefighting meetings were taking place. In anticipation of the approval of the Constitution and the changes, or the main change to the Constitution around going from 5 committees to 3 committees, you'll note on that forward plan proposed dates to reflect the changes in that committee structure as well. So the paper asks for Fire Authority to approve the forward plan, as you've seen with the key dates identified in that forward plan, as we've had from last year as well.
the new dates for the reduced committees as we agreed. We announced the Constitution's okay, so we've gone through the less committees. We've spreads the work over the members. Are we happy to accept the forward plan? Now we've agreed it, we'll need to send out a group of leaders requirements and memberships to committees, and we may decide, because we've now put more work into the effective meetings of the committee, maybe more numbers. So we put up to group leaders the new pattern we had in, we did that in May, and we do the same thing now as these things to be and ask group leaders to come back with their nominations.
No, I was going to say, on that year, it's not an official year within the 3 committees.
Yes.
So,
The other thing, but we also have the General Purposes Committee with scrap, which is a request for very many members on the last. Okay. We move on to, sorry.
Small point. Can we just have an issue though on the call for this again? Because
Yeah.
if we issue it again and you look at it, I'd just like to make sure I'm
Yes.
right.
Yes, please. Yes.
I don't think I'm being picky on.
No, you're not. You're very sensible. Yes. Thank you. Okay, move on to item 11, which is the budget update and medium-term financial plan. Martin.
Thank you, Chair. I personally apologise to members over any confusion that there may be with the reference to Appendix A of the report. The report initially had an Appendix A attached, which was a spending review for 2019, but this was a rather lengthy, large document, and so the decision was made to actually put a link and the background papers to this document and not attach it to Appendix A. Unfortunately, the report wasn't amended to reflect this change. Remember, as reference, the paragraphs that are affected are paragraph 3.8, where after 2021, you need obviously a copy of which is attached to Appendix A, is no longer attached to Appendix A. Paragraph 3.10, Appendix B should be now read as Appendix A. And lastly, paragraph 3.16, the reference to Appendix B should also be Appendix A. Apologies for that, sorry. A draft budget for the next financial year 2021 and medium-term financial plan to 2024 will be presented to members at the December meeting, together with any assumptions that have been included within that plan. The budget for the current year, latest medium-term financial plan to 2023, was approved by members at the February 2019 meeting. At that time, members at the medium-term financial plan had a forecast funding gap of £2 million for next year and a £2.6 million gap over the 4-year period. This funding gap was obviously based on a number of key assumptions that were made at that time, and the details of those assumptions are set out in the report. Since the February meeting, there have been a number of developments that have impacted on those key assumptions and risks, and this report attempts to address some of those changes that have happened. Central government funding. One of the main uncertainties relates to the future levels of government funding that are being provided for parliamentary services. The government were proposed to undertake a fair funding review in the current year, and that will be applicable from March 2020, so next year. On the 8th of August, the Chancellor announced that they were going to be doing a 1-year fast-track spending review, and that the fair funding review would be postponed until 2020, so next year. The spending round was then announced on the 4th of September, and the Home Office has subsequently sent out a letter setting out what the impact is likely to be for parliamentary services. The assumption in the medium-term financial plan in February was that the government funding will be static over the 4-year period, so in effect we would have a real terms cut in our funding over that period. If you take the Home Office suggestions that they're going to increase the grant by inflation, that would add an additional 220,000 next year. In addition, when the budget was set last year, the government also reviewed the employer contribution rate to the budget pension schemes. The impact of that was that, in effect, the employer's contribution rate was almost doubled. The government agreed to fund 90% of those additional costs through Section 31 grant in the current year, 2019-2020, and said that they would review the future funding of that through the spending review. Obviously, because they've now suspended the fair funding review for another year, the indications are that the grant will continue next year. And that changes the assumptions, and that is also covered within the Home Office letter as Appendix A. I'm really nervous about mentioning this, I will, Brexit. Obviously, until the arrangements for the UK to leave the EU will not be resolved, the potential financial impact cannot be assessed with any certainty. Members, when discussing the reserve strategy at the June meeting, did ask for a reserve to be set up, or provision for reserve to be set up. It is proposed to meet this that the investor save reserve that we previously had is reclassified as an investor save so financial pressures reserve. So in effect, we are setting £1 million aside to meet any financial pressures that may come through as a result of the Brexit process. Employee pay awards, obviously 75 to 80% of our budget is in respect of employee costs. The medium-term financial plan last year assumed that there would be pay increases of around 2% over the 4-year period. Following almost a decade of pay restraint, the government has recently announced higher public sector pay rises, with police officers receiving 2.5%, teachers 2.75%, and soldiers 2.9%. Inflation, as measured by the Consumer Price Index in July, was 2.1%. Economists are suggesting, or the gloom and doom merchants are suggesting that if a no-deal Brexit does happen, then inflation could rise above 4% in the future. I think when we're looking at the budget, we will need to reassess whether the 2% pay award is realistic going forward. Obviously, we will report that back to members in the December meeting. Finally, council tax increases. The government previously announced that the referendum limit would be 2% for next year. They temporarily increased it to 3% for a few years, but it's due to go back to 2% next year, which is the government's limit on inflation. The Home Office have indicated in some of their correspondence that they are also looking at the possibility of preset flexibility for fire and rescue services, similar to that they've offered to district councils and the PCCs in previous years. We have no knowledge of what that's likely to be, but it could be the case that fire and rescue services will be offered the option to do a 2% increase in the council tax or £5, whichever is greatest. If the AIM Fire and Rescue Service chose, if that option is offered and an AIM Fire and Rescue Service chose to do the £5, then obviously that would equate to about 6.7% increase in the council tax for 2021. But obviously these will be brought forward, we'll get more details and it will be included in the second paper. Obviously every 1% increase in council tax has around about 75 pence to guarantee council tax and provides the car authority with around about £270,000. This is just an update on the latest assumptions that were included in the medium-term financial plan, and recommendations are largely as per the report.
Thank you, Martin. In a time of great uncertainty and no clarity from central government, thank you for the clarity of your report. Any comments, queries, questions from colleagues? Are we happy to vote that report? Thank you. Martin, it'd be really useful if we ever do get any clarity from central government, if you would email around to all members just updating on any reports you've raised, and maybe a forlorn hope, it would be useful rather than waiting to the December meeting.
I will, if the chair is set correct, I will.
If you sort that out as well, then I'll get a chief officer's commendation for you.
I will do that.
Send it out again for Brexit. Right.
If I could add one was borrowed on that.
All right. Item 12, then the rescue monitor and capital programme.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This report provides members with the first assessment of the forecast outturn on revenue and capital budgets and the potential indicators for the current year 2019-2020, and provides an update on the other financial issues. The revenue account is forecast to underspend by about 181,000 at the end of the year. Details are shown in Appendix 1 to this report. There have been a number of revenue budget adjustments since members approved the budget in February, and these are set out in Appendix 2 to the report. The main budget adjustments are that the new employers' contribution rates to firefighters' pension schemes were confirmed in March. That was actually after the budget was set. The impact of this, the new rates, was that actually the costs are likely to be £200,000 greater than we originally budgeted for. That increase is in offset by the government funding of 90% that we mentioned earlier, so that the costs are pretty much neutral in that respect, so the income is gone up also by about £200,000. When we set the budget for this year, a 3% assumption was used for the firefighters' pay award. It's actually now been agreed at 2%. Part of the saving that is produced this year has been transferred from the wartime budget to the support staff budget to reflect the increases in support staff that have occurred since the budget was set back in February. With regards to the capital programme, it has now been updated to reflect the actual slippage for last year 18-19 that was agreed at the Audit Governance Committee back in May. Detailed work with budget orders has been ongoing since the capital programme was agreed by them in February, and this has identified a number of changes to the capital programme, the most significant of which are as follows. Fleet. At the February meeting, members were advised that there would be significant slippage in the fleet budget for 18-19 of around about £1.8 million. The primary reasons for this were the need to identify a new supplier of a plant, because the supplier that we were using had actually gone into administration, so we had to find a new supplier. And we needed to go out to competition, and the fact that we had a lengthy absence of the fleet engineer at that time to progress that. It was agreed that the £1.8 million at that time would be allocated to the digitalisation of the service. So 600,000 would be added to the capital programme for current year, next year and the following year. The fleet programme has now been revisited. Obviously, the original programme for this year had for replacement of 4 appliances, but it's now proposed that we will up this to 7 appliances. The estimated cost of this is £2.5 million. The reason for this is the fact that we haven't had any appliances for a number of years now, and by the time the new appliances arrive into service, there will be a significant gap of around 2 years, and it's felt that the risk of leaving this period between getting new appliances in was too great. The impact of that is obviously that the investment in digitalisation of service for next year and the year following is now gone, because it's now been put back into purchasing appliances. That said, it will be for members when we set the budget for the next 2 years to revisit the digitalisation of the service and see whether we need to fund that separately again. That will be a separate decision now, so that funding can now be taken back and we purchase appliances instead of that money. With estates, the focus of the estates team for the current year is to concentrate on the priority projects that the authority has set, which is the reinvestment in the future project and the refurbishment of Bedminster. The workload involved in these projects is so vast that it's been decided that the slippage brought forward from last year of 785,000 is no longer required. We simply haven't got the resources to progress with any of the projects for the estates on that money. So that money has been removed from the programme and will be revisited at a later stage when we revisit the capital programme for future years. It should be said at this stage, just to remind members or to make members aware that the premises manager has carried out a review of the estates of the Fire Authority and has identified that there is significant investment that will be required in future years, a few years down the line. So members will need to revisit this at a later stage. As I already mentioned in my previous report, during the debate on the Fire Authority's reserve strategy in June 2019, members agreed that provisions should be set aside through reserve to meet any new financial pressures, i.e. Brexit. So as I've always said, we are going to reclassify the investor save reserve of £1 million investor save and financial pressure reserve. Recommendations are set out in paragraph 2. If there are any questions, I'll do my best to answer.
Neil?
Thank you, Chair. I was just want to be quite short there, but there is still no problem with the forthcoming realisations.
I think I might defer that to the Chief Fire Officer or Simon.
No, we've been liaising with the local authority regs on that matter. New appliances with the Euro 6 compliant, what we're proposing with the capital programme, and we've got a memorandum of understanding that we've discussed with them around how we will transition with regards to communities. We've been speaking with the authority from the City Council as well, but I think we have a slight change of direction of travel in terms of communities.
We're not as far down as the zero zones yet.
No, I understand that.
All of these appliances will have a Euro 6 appliances.
We will have a few in the fleet, however, with the memorandum of understanding that we've agreed with Baines, we'll see that replacement programme fulfil that memorandum of understanding so that we will have compliant vehicles.
Will you resolve the issue around staff access?
Good, any business sessions?
Well, should we actually have some detail later on for us on a subsequent meeting? It's really good to have a report like that. Could we have a short set of details provided to us?
Around clean air zones?
Yeah.
Of course.
If it's given the importance of it and
Yes.
potential impact, it'd be just nice, I really welcome what's been said, but it'd be nice that time to just review and reflect, even if it was a brief agenda.
It's really useful because we have got two fire stations right up the flat maybe two potential clean air zones rather than Bristol. It's really key to it, isn't it?
We've got a environmental officer who's been working very closely with local authorities to support the organisation and working together to make sure that we can way.
We'll provide the authority with a paper for the disseminate.
There are several recommendations. Are there any further questions, comments? There are several recommendations here under item 2 of the page 12. Are we happy to take them en bloc? Can I have a proposal, please, then? Trevor, thank you. Second. Robert? All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much, colleagues. We move on to item 13, service delivery. Oh, sorry, Nick.
Thanks, Chair. Members, unless there are any questions reference the risk reduction update specifically, all I was going to do is intended to give an update reference 3.18 as we discussed it before, which is the Strawn Henschel fire. But this is the fire that occurred on the 31st of December, the first fire at that location at Speedwell. 7 charges were brought against the owner under the Regulatory Reform Order, the Fire Safety Order 2005. This was taken to Bristol Magistrate Court on the 18th of October, and prior to the hearing, the Defence Counsel offered 3 pleas for the basis of admitting guilt. The District Judge then asked to adjourn the case until the 10th of October. We are currently in consultation with our barrister on what we are prepared to accept, and we will come back to the authority at the next meeting with any updates with regard to that prosecution. That's about much I can say about that in a moment. But happy to take any questions on anything else with regard to the risk reduction update.
I'd like to commend you for items 3.8, 3.9 with the report on water safety, because of course that is, as all our universities are now back. And sadly, we've suffered some losses over the last several years in both of our major cities as a result of water-related accidents. I think give the message across to all our young people. It is a key item, and we all work over our science as far age as well. Yeah. So, my thanks and from your behalf for working to keep those young people safe in vulnerable circumstances. Are there any questions on the report? Brendan.
Just could we have an update sometime in the future on 3.16?
Yes, we've got that next one.
You're a Cuba. You're a Cuba. Okay, so we have, for you.
Only I'm aware that there's been an issue over accessing the river in parts of this want to be sure that things are moving in the right direction or
It is moving forward, Councillor, in a positive way. There is a paper going to a service leadership team tomorrow for consideration in terms of the budgetary expenditure with regards to the solution. So I think we'll reach a solution very soon.
I'm happy to note that report. And you're to item 14.
Good evening, members. So I'm just going to present to you item 14 today, which is the fires and other incidents from the period of the beginning of July to the end of August, and talks about some of the major incidents to note throughout that period of time, as well as some of the proactive work undertaken by communications and other departments across the service, including things such as our summer events and extensive summer event programme, most notably in the report the attendance at St Paul's Carnival, and also Bristol Pride, as well as the many open days, charity car washes and other public events we've attended. I also just wanted to draw your attention to item 3.9, crews called to major incident at hotel, which happened during this period. And just wanted to refresh you and give you an update in relation to where we're at in terms of the fire at Premier Inn. So at 13:27 on the 17th of July, crews from across the service area were called to a fire in the Premier Inn Hotel on Catbrain Lane in Cribbs Causeway. We had multiple crews in attendance from stations across the service area, as well as specialist units, including the welfare, turntable ladders, high volume pump and hose layer. On arrival, crews found a fire on the 3rd floor of the property and committed firefighters to extinguish the fire. Due to the structural stability of the building and extensive spread of the fire, firefighters were withdrawn from the property for their own safety, but continued to fight the fire from outside of the property using turntable ladders and water monitors. At its height, there were around 70 firefighters on scene alongside officers and multi-agency response. And throughout the incident, there was substantial collapse of the building onto the A4 108 between Clifton Rugby Club and Lysander Road. Due to this, the road was closed and remained closed as a clean-up period was completed to ensure safety for the community. This happened between the Wednesday and into the weekend. All guests staying at the hotel were accounted for thanks to the police and Premier Inn. And there were also some initial concerns over the cladding. This was subsequently found to be non-combustible cladding that contained no ACM and in no way impacted on the spread of fire or crew's response to the incident. Since this incident report has been included in there, the fire was extinguished as of 8:40 a.m. on Friday, and the cause has been deemed as accidental ignition, and the fire investigation has now concluded. Multi-agency meetings continued to ensure the building was safe for clean-up to take place and for the local area to return to normality. These are just some of the photos from the scene, and we also have a bit of video footage for you. I'd be more than happy to take any questions from a communications point of view, but if there's any operational questions, I'll look to my colleagues to support on that.
Yeah, basically it's my board. And I want to thank Avon for doing the work they did. It was horrendous. And there's a lot of people living around the back of the cribs, back of it. And a lot of people come up the main cribs course we've opened it and actually see all the houses which are quite close to there. And a lot of work was done. And I know South Gloucestershire Council was quite heavily involved with me as well, in actual fact in helping. But South Gloucestershire couldn't praise the fire brigade enough. There was an awful lot of media stuff going out thanking the fire brigade. And it's interesting because on the local sort of Facebooks and everything that go around, generally you've always got some idiots basically having a go. But to be quite frank with you, it was really, really supportive of the fire brigade, and I was really pleased to actually think that the public are actually at last not actually criticising people that are out there to try and save lives. So it's really, really, really good, and it did go on for days. So thank you very much.
And thank you for your comments. I know they'll go back to all of our staff. It was, as soon as the incident was deemed a major incident, we did set up a warning and informing cell, which all of the communications teams across all of the agencies were part of, and I think that worked quite effectively in terms of keeping everyone up to date, in terms of the way we were able to sort of take primacy in those early days around giving updates across social media, on the media, and then the way we sort of transitioned into the clean-up and recovery phase towards the weekend.
I was actually getting updates from David Perry on a regular basis. It was extremely good. There was sort of version of corporate meetings, etc. But no, it was very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I echo that, Brian. I did attend the scene. I was very impressed by the efforts of all our staff, both in terms of the firefighters and the staff team there as well. Make sure everything was running safe. It was very impressive watching the drone footage from the police drone on the fire. I think it was an extremely difficult operation. I was the chief officer at the time, but he did more than I did.
It was clearly a difficult incident and went on to a protracted incident for some time, and it was very quickly declared a major incident. An interesting fire, but actually as a multi-agency response.
I think there were a lot of people which had to change their normal ways of going to and from work, their cars, and everything else, and how they were approaching their houses. And perhaps leading someone, which was aggravated by the fact there was smoke. I didn't actually see any of that. Everybody seemed to be cooperating and really appreciating, the sort of barriers which have been put up to keep them safe. 7 days have gone by, just to make sure that people are safe. So thank you very much.
I'd like to thanks to everybody. We were in an unfortunate position when the truck was really too close to the road. So we definitely need to everybody was very understanding of the issues and comments about how professional.
Could I also comment before we finish this item about the fact that we have the National High Volume Cruising exercise hosted by Avon Fire Ministry Services this weekend? So we've got our national resilience that we were leading on that. And thanks to all staff for participating in that. So we're asked to note this. Is there any further comments, questions before us? Thank you, Alan. This may be your last meeting for a little while, is that right?
Well, I don't know.
An excuse next time.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we go on to item 15. Steve Limber is going to be on this for us. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of paper 15 is primarily to seek members' approval for the formal closure of the improvement programme established as part of the statutory inspection back in July 2017. It also provides a couple of updates on our cultural journey and our most recent activity in relation to the HMIC FRS inspection. The recommendations that we're seeking members' endorsement of are outlined in section 2 of the report. By way of background, not looking to give members chapter and verse over the improvement programme or our journey, but cognizant of some structural changes to the authority of late, we'll sort of pick out a few highlights of the report, try and bring members up to speed and then back into recommendations to improve the formal closure of the improvement programme. Members will recall, as part of Dr. Baker's report, he outlined that the service should put in a programme plan that delivers a vision and operating model over a realistic time frame, and particularly he noted that time frame he felt 2 years would be appropriate, with regular, visible and measurable milestones periodically throughout the programme. Therefore, as outlined in Table 1, Section 3.4 in your papers, the programme is divided up into 3 stages. First stage...
Sorry, which page is that?
That is...
Page 2.
Page 2 of this paper.
Okay.
So, in line with that, the programme was broken up into 3 stages. Again, in table 1 of your report, it gives you the sort of programme highlights of each individual stage. Stage 1 ran from October 2017 to March 2018, which basically focused on the key programme governance that we had to establish from the start, as outlined by Dr. Baker. The baseline cultural review, which you'll get more detail on later in this update. Development of our 1-year corporate plan and strategic assessment and our risk review that led into activity under stage 2. Stage 2 of the programme, in essence, was the bulk of the work. That ran from April 2018 to March 2019. And like I say, that focused on the key delivery outputs from the programme and the initial 62 recommendations approved by the Fire Authority back in July 2017. In addition, during that phase, we also got notified that we'd be involved in stage 1 of HMRC FRS's inspection programme. And we also undertook, as a lot of members here have been involved in over the last year, a total review of our RMP and corporate plan to produce an integrated single service plan as of April 1st this year. Finally, stage 3, which we're coming to an end to now, hopefully, ran from April through to now, where we've been completing the final few recommendations that have been outstanding and undertaking the ongoing monitoring of our HMIC action plan. Again, I'll give you a brief update on that in a moment. Throughout the programme stages, we've followed best practice, industry best practice with relation to programme management. In particular, that's managing successful programmes. And this obviously entailed frequent updates being demonstrated along the programme timeline with various levels of scrutiny as the programme has gone on. Members will recall, as outlined at figure 1, section 3.7, scrutiny arrangements that were put in place back in December 2017 to oversee the progress the service was making and giving members full opportunity to scrutinise, comment and contribute to the evidence that was being put before them in order to support the 62 recommendations that the Fire Authority had originally approved back in 2017. As a quick summary of those scrutiny arrangements, because they're obviously quite important to what we're seeking now. If you look on the left-hand side of that schematic, right at the bottom we have the Internal Improvement Board. The Internal Improvement Board is chaired by the Chair of the Fire Authority and the Chief Fire Officer, and that board received evidence and examples from project executives who were managing the 62 recommendations that we had to show evidence against in order to fulfil Fire Authority's initial action plan. Once that passed that scrutiny, that then went to the PRC Improvement Working Group. The PRC Improvement Working Group was open to all members. An informal working group open to all members. Those members that couldn't attend the meetings had the opportunity to scrutinise and comment on every piece of evidence that the programme had collated and was offered up for scrutiny at that particular time via a software a file sharing site called Basecamp. Subject to the improvement working group's discussion and scrutiny, a recommendation was then put forward to PRSC in a more formal way under the committee structure. And again, PRSC members have the opportunity to examine, scrutinise and comment on the evidence being put forward. And as you've experienced today under 7.2 of this agenda item, the Chair of PRSC would then make a recommendation to full Fire Authority that the evidence that has been scrutinised by PRSC and the IWG would be considered complete.
So we've dealt with the problem of institutional racism in the organisation.
Excuse me, this is a meeting of members, please.
So I thought you wanted the public to be involved. That's
No,
what we need
this
to
is the
do.
meeting of the Fire Authority, Mr. Garrity.
I think the members should know that this is
No, please, Mr. Garrity,
£50,000 of public money
Mr. Garrity.
on an investigation into institutional racism. How you can say you completed the improvement
Mr. Garrity,
when that
can you
report
please
has to come-
leave?
That
Well, be
report hasn't
quiet.
come to fruition yet. Members should know that's what we're spending, public money, up to £50,000 to deal with institutional racism.
I'm very sorry, sir, we're not part of this meeting.
Are you following the standing orders?
I'm really sorry, sir.
Yes.
No, you need to follow standing orders. Look at the standing orders. Can the clerk look at the standing orders to see what the rules are in situations like this, please?
The rules are, there was a public access.
Look at the,
You have the
look
opportunity.
at the standing orders of this meeting, please.
You're not asked to speak at the meeting.
Look at the standing orders. Follow the standing orders. Follow the rules. It might be a nice name for this organisation to follow the rules set out.
Well, some could remind you of the same thing.
Fine. I'm not a public body, unfortunately. You are.
So we've already had our public forum.
Okay. Standing orders about, I assume, disruption within the organisation of the Fire Authority meetings. Can we please follow the rules? And while you're looking at the standing orders, members should all know it's been kept from them. We
Okay.
have a report into institutional racism in the organisation, which has been done for 2
I'm
years.
sorry, colleagues.
It's going to cost
Suspend the meeting.
It's going to cost up to £50,000. That report hasn't, for some reason, who can say why, hasn't reported yet. So the idea that you complete an improvement journey is absolutely laughable.
Under 1.2
Can you have your comments on it?
standing orders, you'll have to be removed from the meeting.
Can you read the other standing orders, please?
Yes? If a member of the public interrupts proceedings at any meeting, the chair should give a warning, which I've done.
Have you?
If you interrupt,
Sorry, what's the warning you give? Can you-
I asked you to desist from speaking because it isn't your.
What's the warning you give me? You need to give a warning.
Oh, please stop talking. Or I will ask you to be removed under 1.22 of the standing.
Excellent. You follow the rules.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very
Yes.
much. Carry on with the improvement.
Yes. I'm quite happy to carry on. I just think that opportunities given for people to speak at these meetings, a member of the public from our area has come and spoken, we've answered his questions and taken forward his case, and that's the way we do things. We do not have impromptu interruptions, so I do apologise, colleagues, that your train of thought within this important item has been disturbed. I will now ask Steve if you can continue.
Yeah.
Are you happy to continue, Steve?
Absolutely.
Colleagues, are you happy to continue? Okay, thank you.
So following Fire Authority approval at various stages throughout the programme, and the evidence presented for Fire Authority to consider, each recommendation at that point would be considered. Throughout the improvement programme, there's been independent improvement programme board that provides independent scrutiny and comment upon the progress that the organisation is making and the evidence that's being presented. That was undertaken, as I said, by the Independent Improvement Programme Board, which was made up of key stakeholders throughout our unitary authority area. So the unitary leaders of each unitary authority were present on that board, as were the local government association, representatives of SARI, and also representative from the Policing Crime Commissioner's Office, usually the PCC herself attend. That board was chaired by one of the vice chairs of the National Fire Chief Council, Chief Officer from South Wales. So that board, in turn, fed into the chair of the National Fire Chiefs Council, who in turn fed into the Police and Fire Minister over progress and scrutiny being levelled at the programme throughout the duration of the programme. That was one route into the Fire Minister. And equally, the Chair and the Chief Fire Officer also provided regular updates to the Police and Fire Minister. I think in total we have about 16 formal updates have been sent to the Police and Fire Minister, and also the Chair and the Chief on occasion have gone to visit the Police and Fire Minister. Police and Fire Minister. If you look at figures 2 and 3 in your papers, you'll see a schematic or a dashboard of the programme progress as we stand as of now. and subject again to discussion and your approval of the recommendation. 62 recommendations that were initially laid out by the Fire Authority back in July 17 have now been completed as per the scrutiny process that I've just outlined to you. You'll also note at section 3.9 that there were 115 work packages related to the recommendations that the Fire Authority initially put down. So we took the recommendations and we enriched them where possible to ensure robustness of evidence being provided, which equated to 115 work packages. You'll note that one work package is listed there as outstanding. However, that work package did not directly contribute to its parent recommendation. In so much so that the decision was taken by the Internal Improvement Board that that piece of work would be passed on to business as usual under the new head of transport, who was only appointed this month. So just a reassurance that particular work package in no way detracts from the initial 62 recommendations that the Fire Authority approved back in 2017. A copy of the Improvement Programme Closure Report is attached at Appendix 1 for reference. However, on that basis, what we're seeking as a recommendation today is for members to approve the formal closure of the Improvement Programme. Any questions as to this? Okay, in your papers then, section 3.12 starts to relate to our cultural journey. However, if I may, I'm going to skip forward now to section 3.19 to cover the Majesty's Inspectorate of Establishment Fire Service. And then at the end of that, I'll hand over to Councillor Lake, who will then introduce our cultural journey update. Members will recall the results of the service's first full inspection of the HMIC were published in December 2018. At table 4, you'll see the results, if you like, of the judgments from HMI and the key pillars of the inspection. Following the inspection, HMI wrote to the service in August 2018 to raise a cause for concern relating to the availability of specialist technical fire safety officers in that fire safety department. As a result of that letter from the HMI, we submitted a plan on the 31st of August 2018 outlining a 3-stage increase for our technical fire safety capacity. HMIC also noted within their report that they had concerns over some elements of our existing culture within the service. However, that came as no surprise to the service following our original cultural review that we undertook preceding HMIC, the results of which were published the week before the HMIC had to do its inspection. And activity was already underway to develop our Making Aim Fire Rescue Service a Better Place to Work action plan, which again Councillor Lake will introduce in a minute and will be supported by ACFO Shilton and Amber. In a letter in December 2018, some things to note in relation to our action plan. The HMI noted or reminded us of our national framework requirement that where recommendations are made by HMIC, we should prepare and update and regularly publish an action plan detailing how we're going to address the recommendations that have been made by HMIC. If you look at table 5, under section 3.23 of your papers, you'll note that HMIC made 6 recommendations. However, in the interest of openness and transparency and our continual improvement journey culture, we also included 15 areas for improvement within our action plan. So we went over and above the requirements set out under the National Framework document. The first action plan was published on the 12th of March this year, and to date we've published 4 further updates of that action plan in response to HMIC's initial findings. Additionally, HMIC also undertook a revisit in August 2019, whereby initial feedback was provided, where they concluded that we do have the appropriate governance arrangements in place to support our direction of travel, and that the action plan is regularly updated and published. HMIC also recognised that as part of our action plan to address the cause for concern, additional 7 members of the technical fire safety team have been employed, which in line with their 3-phase plan to address the cause for concern, which runs up until December this year. And again, HMRC recognise it as those individuals are trained and develop further, then our capability will also improve to address the cause for concern that they identified. So, are there any questions in relation to our progress with the HMIC action plan or current status? No?
I've got one comment to make, which I think would be clear to members. I went to the Fire Commission that's in London on Friday, and the other meeting then was the lead, Zoe Billing in the HMIC FRS, and she made the point, which I think we've been trying to make as an organisation and also as a service nationally, about the impact of austerity on the fire prevention capability of all fire and rescue services. They did acknowledge the fact that austerity had impacted on the capability of all fire and rescue services to provide prevention because of the decision of rightly ensuring to the public to maximise our frontline response. So I think there's a recognition that the inability of services to be doing the fire prevention regime as might be expected in terms of framework has been badly picked by the impact of austerity on all services nationally. So I think to please, in terms of reviewing the Avon documents, there's a national recognition that there has been a problem in that area.
If there's no further questions on HMIC, I'll hand over to Councillor Lane in relation to...
Mr. Chair, well, I'm very grateful for the work that's coming into this, but I've been concerned as a member of the public who's saying that they understand the AFRS is still lost on the lead regarding the inspections of fire services. Now, 2/3 of the services have been assessed.
What's the question again?
It's being alleged that we are still bottom of the league regarding the HMIC FRS inspections of fire services, even though 2/3 of the services have now been assessed.
The HMIC FRS don't publish leaks or leak tables, Councillor. The report, members will be aware, the report was challenging. Steve has articulated some of the reasons why. Chairman said on austerity, technical fire safety resources across the whole of the UK, 42% less than we were prior to austerity. So clearly that has had an impact across the whole of the UK. Brendan Towers has brought that into obviously sharp focus, and it's something that we have an action plan for addressing, and we have made steady progress with that. Other areas that we were already aware of are around culture of the organisation, which we're just about to have an update on. A lot of the work has been done with regards to our culture, which we'll see in a little while. And we're already on that journey prior to the inspection. In actual fact, the cultural circle. Excuse me, could I speak, please?
Well, you're not telling the truth, are you? You were graded. You were bottom. You were graded.
Mr. Maslin, same applies to your good self as I just asked Mr. Garrity. Please, I'm warning under section 122 of the standing orders, please not interrupt a meeting of the fire authority. Please, fire officer.
HMIC FRS do not publish league tables. There isn't a league, simple as that. What was challenging, we know what was challenging. The cultural survey that we undertook as an organisation was published on the Friday before the inspectors came in on Monday. As a result of that, we were already aware of the important issues that existed within the organisation. And we have been working on that for about 12 to 18 months now. So that wasn't a surprise to us. None of that was a surprise to us. And we do have really robust action plans to deal with those issues.
I'd just like to add for members, if you go on the HMIC FRS website, you'll find the assessments of all the authorities that have been reviewed so far. And the categories of as on the table 3.19 are there for you to view all fire and rescue services, and you will see that there is no league table as such. It's assessed across three main areas, then subsets thereof. And I understand that the remaining services in the third tranche of inspection are due for publication before the end of this year. So members of the public can go and assess any fire and rescue service in the first two tranches, of which we are one of those, and they can see the issue. There is no top and bottom of the table. So are we happy? Cleo, you're going to lead on this, aren't you?
Yeah, okay, so...
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Steve, and thank you for all your team for the enormous amount of work you've put into this whole project. And thank you to members as well for their support in the scrutiny process. Cleo, sorry.
Okay, so on paper we've come to the end of a 2-year improvement plan, which, as we just heard, was following a statutory inspection and a subsequent report which led to a 60-plus point action plan. It's a challenge in my head, and I'm sure a few of us, to say that we are signing all of this off. And of course, it's all beyond a pie chart kind of graph sort of work. It's very important work, and it's been a very crucial journey. A lot of the work and the journey has been as much intangible as it is tangible. Just a little bit about myself, if I can. I joined the authority in 2017, not as some of you have coming off a recent election, but because my colleague couldn't commit further because of his other work priorities. And I would just say, when I joined, it was, okay, here's your first meeting, and here's the report. And it was overwhelming to say the least. But a lot of work has been done. 2 points I just want to bring out of that report, which is fair to say it was pretty damning. 2 of the things. One was ensuring fairness and promoting diversity. That came back as inadequate. Promoting the right values and culture. That also came back as inadequate. Improvement boards, as we heard, were set up, and we also set up something called the DICE Committee, which stands for Diversity, Inclusion, Cohesion and Equality.
Please.
They've been cancelled. The DICE Committee meetings have been cancelled time and time again.
If I can just get to the end of my report, please. These have also been embedded into our new constitution, which you can see is in the first couple of pages, and are now framework principles, foundation principles.
There's completely empty words.
As chair of that committee, a few notes of...
Cleo, sorry. Please.
I'm very demoralised, I'm very upset. We cannot have any of the DICE Committee meetings.
That is not correct, because you have been at DICE correct meetings with me. Please, can we continue, Cleo, and please can you stop interrupting? You have the opportunity to speak in public access, which you did not take. Cleo, sorry.
Okay, a few things of what I've seen. I've seen a definite aim to recruit more diverse firefighters and staff generally, and also the review of the recruitment process. There's been a lot of effort that's gone into outreach ahead of recruitment and in general. For example, there's been a lot of effort going into appealing and recruiting female firefighters, and looking into some of the barriers with that and addressing it, such as the Yes You Can initiative.
And remove them after 30 years.
I would say that we are a different authority now. It certainly feels different coming to these meetings. Part of the journey was also to revise the term of office for members, which can also add to it being refreshed. When I joined this authority, there was also a lot of bickering that was going on. And it was really shocking, especially a newly elected councillor, to see that kind of behaviour. And you know, I think we've already set new ground on that in how we communicate with each other, which is great and is part of the journey. We recruited the Glass Lift to undertake an independent cultural review and a staff survey, and also to present the findings of that, and make all in about that. Staff networks have gone on to form into culture change advocates, and we have renewed values, which are, and these are the values, let's all say them together: inclusive, transparent, respectful, ambitious, courageous, and honest.
Can you go through that again?
I'm quite happy to say it should be on the website.
Okay, inclusive was the first one.
Mr. Garrison,
It's the first one.
I did warn you earlier, please, we are trying to conduct the business of the Fire Authority.
So what do we mean by culture change? Well, surely it's recognising our role as an institution, a public institution, and a public service which should model a tolerant and inclusive society, the society that we serve. It's really important and crucial that we examine and take seriously any allegations or potential situations of sexism, racism, and other discrimination against protected characteristics, of course. But also, when we think of culture and a culture shift, it is as important to examine how, for example, middle-aged heterosexual white men treat each other. And through this journey, we are also looking at bullying and harassment and moving away from a blame culture. We are creating an environment where people can contribute, where they contribute ideas, are able to speak up and call things out, where they feel valued, respected, and not intimidated. Our aim is to make Avon Fire and Rescue a better place to work and create more avenues to input into decision making. Embedding the values through the advocates and working more closely with the Fire Brigade Union and other unions. Part of this has also been investing in training and also, for example, internal apprenticeships, and recognising and better awareness around support for mental health. This journey is not something that we can tick off as such and say we've done it. We've made progress and we're on our journey, but it's going to be a long journey to change the culture. That's all I have to say really, if we're going to hear a little bit more detail.
Thank you, Cleo. I thought that was a brilliant summary of where we've been and where we're going.
I think it would be interesting to note where DICE goes from here as a committee, and some clarity of that really.
I completely agree with you. So as part of the resetting of the Constitution, the resetting of priorities, I think to include a wider employment role within that committee sets it where it should be, which is central to all our people rather than as an add-on to people. It needs to be part of the whole people's strategy of control. Yes.
Yeah, people culture.
As part of the Constitution, put in front of you earlier on, Councillor, there's a proposal from 5 committees to 3. One of those committees is the People and Culture, where the responsibilities for the DICE committee will be transferred over into that committee also to continually report into our journey of where we are as an organisation under all things people and all things culture. Members, just to sort of give you some further insight of what we've been doing with regards to Councillor Lake's reference there. Councillor Lake reference around our cultural survey, so just by a very quick recap of where we were. The survey took 3 phases, the form of 3 phases. The first phase was quantitative information, so the gathering of quantification by questionnaire to all of our staff. 70% of our workforce respond to that, which is excellent. In the words of those that undertook the survey on our behalf, the independent organisation that undertook that survey is virtually unheard of and outstanding to get at that level of engagement and response. The second phase to that was face-to-face engagement with our staff based on that quantitative information, so finding that qualitative information and gathering all that both from existing staff and some previous staff as well. And that then produced a report. Alongside that, some members may recall that we also undertook a members' survey, a cultural survey, along the similar lines and a similar theme to that of the rest of the staff that they engaged in to part in. That resulted in a document that Councillor Lake has referenced around making Avon Fire and Rescue Service a better place to work. And it's our commitment to cultural change for the foreseeable future. And there are a number of things within that document that are influencing how we are going out our business. Not the what, but the how is the important aspect. And with that, some of that, which Councillor Lake has referenced there, has already started to take place. And so if I can just refer you to page 7 of the report, councillors, you'll see a diagram there which right in the centre leads to leadership and culture. Underneath there highlights some areas that we've already started to invest in as an organisation as we begin this journey. And as we know, culture is not an overnight thing, it is an ongoing commitment and an ongoing journey in how we develop and continue to improve. With that, I'd like to just hand over to Amber, who will give you a briefing of how we've been engaging across the organisation to ensure that the organisation are as much of our change as they are part of that change and they are influencing that change to make Avon Fire and Rescue Service the best place to work.
Thank you. So the cultural change plan, making Avon Fire and Rescue Service a better place to work, which the Assistant Chief Fire Officer alluded to, was published in April 2019, and it was drafted in direct response to findings of the cultural review which we received back in 2018. The document looks at 10 key themes which include a myriad of areas that staff told us. Some of those, to name but a few, are about embedding our values, celebrating success, empowering our staff, supporting leaders at every level, creating safe spaces to talk, looking at the provision around mental health and support, and looking at sort of bullying and harassment and tackling inappropriate behaviour. So from that, we established that the only way we could take this forward is by empowering staff to be part of that change, starting from within. And we set about creating a plan where we encouraged a group of individuals, whoever wanted to be a part of it, to be part of what we are now calling the Cultural Change Advocates, our culture change group. When we initially started that journey in June, we had 15 individuals join us for that meeting. We've subsequently hosted 2 more meetings, and our membership has doubled on each occasion. During those, we felt that those sessions needed to start very much with embedding our values, and we've used those sessions and the cultural change advocates, which are made up of a mix of staff across the organisation at all levels, both uniformed and corporate staff, to come together. And we've talked about a collective vision for the service and what that looks like and where we want to get to in terms of our cultural journey, to help articulate that story to the rest of the organisation. We've talked about a culture change commitment, so what it means to be a culture change advocate and what it means to be part of this cultural journey, and how we're going to look to deliver the items outlined within the culture change plan. And predominantly we've started with establishing a values and behaviour framework, which is a document that's our commitment to ourselves and our commitment with each other about what we deem to be acceptable and unacceptable behaviour aligned to our values. All of that work, I must stress, has been led and developed and designed by the culture change advocates and others across the organisation, which really helps in terms of accountability and making that so impactful. At our most recent meeting, we had an all-day away day at the North West Media Centre, and as well as sort of formalising those areas of work, it also gave us an opportunity to have a cultural case study presented to us by the Deputy Chief Fire Officer Rob Barber from the Staffordshire Fire and Rescue Service, talking about their 12-year improvement journey to date, which was really eye-opening and insightful. This is all of this work is very much the early stages, and it's launched into the creation of a film that we're going to show you in a moment or two, to articulate our journey, where we've come, what we've been doing, and where we intend to go, to sort of start that process and help tell that story. The vision is very much to launch that to the organisation. We're looking to do that on October the 10th, which actually happens to be World Mental Health Day. And we're looking at a programme of activity, an ongoing programme of activity, heavily focused over the next 12 months around delivering those key areas of work and how we continue the conversation, bringing staff on board, making people feel valued, living by our values. And members, of course, will be very much a part of that plan. So when we have that, we will look to share that with you as well. That's everything.
Members, I'd just like to, propose to you my thanks to the team who have been leading on this. I've put a huge amount of work and effort in, and time and commitment in, creating and bringing to life the document and making Avon Fire Rescue Service a better place to work. There's a team of 6, a small team of 6 that drive this forward. 3 of which are in the room this evening. Amber being one of them. I'd like to offer thanks to Amber. Zoe also is another member of the team, and Mark Rumble has also put a huge amount of effort in, particularly in developing the video that you'll see shortly. Unfortunately, the video has music to it. It has a license. We are still to receive approval for that license. So we'll have to preview the video in closed session, Chair, because of that, awaiting that licence approval. But I would just like to offer thanks to 3 committed members of our organisation who have worked incredibly hard to get to this point.
Can't see it. Can't see it.
That's up in the video will be on the website once you've been granted the licence permission. Okay, so
That would be the paper, Chair.
thank you, Amber, thank you, Theo. Are there any comments or questions or recommendations? The last 3 recommendations on page 1 of item 15. Can I have a proposer for them? A bit more what? Thank you, Brian. Anything to second them? Thank you, Brenda. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you, colleagues. Okay. Now move to item 16 to resolve that the public will exclude from the meeting from the following items of business and rounds they contain certain information pursuant to Schedule 12A Part of the River Government Act 1972 and according to Schedule 12A Part 2 of Paragraph 10 of the River Government Act 1972. The public interest in maintaining them in that way is the public interest in disclosing the information. Can we propose for that, please? All right, thank you, Secretary. Trevor, thank you. We're all in favour of that? Okay, thank you very much. Can we ask the members of the public please leave?